Tonight's show is brought to you by our love for shiny things. Are you in search of a perfect medieval jewelry to complete your kit? Look no further than tonight's guest, Maistresse Morgan Athenry, for fine gold insil work in the medieval style. She creates everything from rings and earrings to knights chains and coronets. Visit her website at laurelkavanagh.com or her Etsy shop at Mad Jeweler and make one of her unique pieces your own. That Etsy URL is etsy.com/shop/Mad Jeweler.
Hey everybody, welcome to Between Two Peers, a live stream show where the hosts invite a guest from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. This week is sponsored by the classic daiquiri, Smuggler's Cove Daiquiri #1 on the rocks. We're classy bitches, so pinkies up and hang on for this ride. I'm your host, Tulia Alori, aka Mistress Sassy Seamstress. I've been in the SCA for a really ridiculously long time, but not as ridiculously long as our guest has been in. and I like cats. So that's my bit of information for today. And I'm going to turn this over to my cheerful co-host, Sir Danger Muppet.
I'm Sir Danger Muppet, otherwise known as Sir Helga. I'm from the West. I've only ever lived in the West. Here's the weird, I'm trying to think of weird Helga trivia. I'm a horse girl. Though I don't currently own a horse. And I still like hitting my friends with sticks. Also, I miss you all. So tonight, our guest is Morgan Athenry. She even gave me the pronunciation. It's Maistresse?
I like to say Maistresse. It's 14th century French, but it's also Maistresse. So that's kind of cool.
Now I'm going to remember that. And so she is our lovely guest tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Goodness. Well, yeah. Okay. I'm Morgan. I've been in this club since 1986. So don't even go and tell me how old you were not at that point, because I'm done with that. I started off.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, she muted herself. I unmuted you.
Okay, are we good?
Yep.
Yeah, I started off doing calligraphy and illumination. Got laureled for that, probably too young, but not going to argue with the king and queen. Eventually took up jewelry making, and that's a large chunk of what I do now. I was a fighter for a long time. Moved to Caid for 12 years, met some amazing people there. Eventually came home. Goodness, here I am. I like dogs too.
Sole awesome. Representation of cat people right here.
I'm a dog person who likes cats.
But oh no,
I'm a dog person who likes cats.
We had a camera mess up. We're gonna get drug around on the screen.
You know what's great?
Getting drug around
That's
on the
way it goes.
I'm just going to go over, everybody knows the drinking rules. And so with that, we're going to end up rolling into questions, and we highly recommend that our audience drink along with us. Also, call us when we miss things, because we all end up giggling a lot behind the scenes about everybody telling us, drink! Because I'm pretty sure y'all have that game memorized better than we do.
And
with that, even though we have camera issues and I'm not there, we're just going to roll right into the first question. Are you ready, Mistress Morgan? Maistresse Morgan.
Maistresse.
Whatever.
I think that counts as a drink. I used the wrong title.
All right. Ask me something. I'll make up an answer.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to ask you this. This comes from Alice Grace. What drew you to your art or science?
Oh, goodness. I guess I'll start from the beginning. We'll have 2-minute timer. Thought the idea of doing calligraphy was pretty cool. And back in the pre-internet days, the information we had was from the page. So I read the page cover to cover every single month, because it's really all I had. Didn't even have email at first. I got email in end of 86. Anyway, I looked up in the back of there and there's this Scribble workshop, and I had to call them on the telephone, for God's sakes, and ask them, really, you'll teach me calligraphy if I drive an hour to your house? And they're like, hell yeah, come over, yay. And got started with calligraphy and illumination, and was the guy who was teaching was also a herald, so I designed my arms and went from there. The metalworking came in much later, when after I'd been out in the world for a while, went back to college. Junior college, ended up at UC Davis and took some classes at the Craft Center at UC Davis, which rocks, and fell in love with jewelry making. And later on went to a vocational school to learn how to do some of that. That was pretty amazing.
All I can say is go Aggie.
Go Aggies. All right. Passing it on to you.
So what drew me to my art or science? So I'm going to say that my art is shield painting. So we're just going to roll with that. And what drew me to that is it was something to make the field a brighter place. It was something that I could do for myself or other fighters, and it brought a level of franchise out. It's also disposable art, because if you ever talk to me about my art, I hate my art like with a passion, with a fiery passion. And so I love that shields get destroyed, and then the next round is like an updated piece of art. So because I've learned so much in the last 2 years doing it, that like when an old one dies, I'm like, yes, now I get to remake it with new tech, or like new skills, and like my shading's gotten better, or my art hand has gotten better, and the layout's gotten better. And so I really like doing shields because, one, it makes our fighters look better. I think it makes them represent their consorts nicer. I hate seeing uncovered aluminum or wood shields out there. Like, do something about that, guys. Seriously, it's not that hard. Like, you can cut and paste images on your shield. I can teach you how to do it in like 30 seconds. And anytime it's like beaten to hell, I can update it.
Cool. What drew me to my art? I like wearing pretty clothes, and weirdly enough, at one point in time, I actually liked making them too. I have a little bit of a fraught relationship with it right now, and I've talked about it on previous shows, but trying to rediscover my passion. But I think ever since day one, even before the SCA, even before I even knew what costuming was or reenactment or any of that, I just wanted to wear pretty clothes. So I started designing, quote unquote, designing historical costume when I was probably about like 12 or so, and my mother dragged me to a Renaissance fair, and she couldn't keep up with my prolific design skills, and so forced me to learn how to make my own clothes as a result. So I've been doing it since about on my own since I was about 15, with my mother making my costumes since I was about 12. But no other art has ever really grabbed me the way clothing has grabbed me. So I got 2 degrees in it, and spent loads and loads and loads of money on fabric over the last course of my life. So 30 years of my life, I guess, really, at this point. But yeah, I can't really pinpoint one particular thing, other than I just knew I liked costumes, and that's all I really wanted to do. So next question.
All right. So the next question. Okay, somebody's gonna shoot me because it's either
you're gonna butcher her name. I can tell. Would you like me to say the name?
I want to say Genevieve, but I believe it's
Genevieve.
Genevieve. See, okay, cool. I actually got it. So I realized that part of the show is just watching me butcher names. Okay, I'm really sorry to everybody.
We'll have to do a practice run with names before we get on the show.
I'm pretty sure this is just part of the hilarity.
Yeah, Genevieve de Vendôme.
So, she sent in a specific question for you, and then we formulated a host one around it. So, how do you keep the joy when one's art is also one's business?
You don't. You don't. Not to go off on a backwards soapbox here, but having actually, it's not that my art is my business. It's that I have to do my business at events, and selling at events is killing my joy. It's bad. Takes me away from pretty much everything. So yeah, that's not so much fun. I want to find a better balance for that, and actually having a break, of this forced break where I don't have to go set up pavilions and, you know, be nice to customers, is it's kind of nice in that way. I'm hoping that it will help take the edge off of the burnout of that, so I can approach this with a different, I don't know, fresh approach.
Yeah.
Side question: is there anything we can actually do to help that? Because I absolutely adore having you at events, and I don't want you to burn out because you're merchanting all the time. And like, because some of my favorite memories are like you drunk in my vigil. That's legitimately probably one of my favorite SCA memories. But also, I think that, you know, how can we, as other people that enjoy our merchant friends, also help our merchant friends?
Help them get the heck out of the tent once in a while, I guess. I usually have, because my booth is set up so that there's, you know, jewelry in a corner of it, and the rest of it is our living room. You know, because I've tried to be right on the field, because my husband's fighting, and I can usually bribe or at least make somebody feel guilty who I'm giving space, you know, for the day. It's like, you need to just like watch the booth while I go stand in the sun for invocation, because that's the way it goes. And, you know, tell them the jeweler will be back after invocation. They're like, okay, usually that works. But it's more difficult to get people, you know, to watch things for any length of time and actually be able to sell stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not brave enough to ask for help. I suck at that.
I was about to say, that's what you have an extroverted, you have a weaponized extrovert for?
Who also happens to be always fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I Tom Sawyer people into things all the time.
I mean, I just try to hang out with you. That's my thing. I mean, I may not be able to like run a booth or anything like that, but I always try to make time to come by and hang out. So
when you're not consorting, my dear, that's lovely.
I know, and that's a whole thing. It is a whole thing, and it's really annoying and frustrating. So
yes,
you know, yeah.
All right, so you ready for this part of the host part of this question?
Yes.
Would you ever do your art as a business?
I have done my art as a business, and it sucks.
Drink.
It sucks so bad. Basically, like the swiftest way to kind of kill your joy in your art is to try to make money off of it. And I couldn't sustain it. I couldn't do it to the point where I could make any money off of it, and I couldn't do it to the point where it just didn't kill my joy. So it's a hard thing. I'm not equipped for it, but other people are, and that's rad. That's cool. I'm just not. So I've tried it, and it's not me. It doesn't suit me. So Helga?
The answer is hard no, actually. So I've discovered that I really enjoy trading for the shields, but I don't enjoy charging my friends what it costs me to do a shield. And so when people talk to me about shield commissions, I'm very, very gun shy about it. One, because I've had a really shitty commission experience where the person kept changing their mind. And so the shield ended up being like 100+ hours. And I would like to note that people are paying artists time beyond their normal job, because we don't pay artists enough to survive in the universe and be artists unless they've got a pretty damn good cult following. But pretty much you're paying my overtime. You're paying me not to be on my bike. You're paying me not to be fighting. You're paying me not to be out doing other things. You're paying me to sit there and grind through something where when people pay you, all of a sudden they feel like as an artist, they should be able to dictate your muse. And that's not how my muse works at all. And so I've learned actually that I could never turn the shield painting into a business. I could probably paint a shield and then sell it, but I can't really take on a commission that involves a shit ton of money. And also, I actually charge for my time. I have a spreadsheet with how many hours it takes me to do a shield. It's between 20 and 60 hours to do a shield, the way I like them done. And to pay that, you're paying close to $1,000. Like, it's not cheap work. And so I'm very happy to trade man hours, or artist hours. Sorry, not man hours, artist hours. And if people want to trade me for something, I'm really happy to do that. And it feeds my muse and everything else like that, because they're giving me their art and I get to exchange it for my art. And so, long-winded answer of hell fucking no will it ever be a business. But there are ways around that mindset.
And those ways are what?
The lady of the lake would like to note to Morgan, will work for snacks.
Well, we have snacks. We've always got snacks. And in fact, we've got beer. I don't know if she likes beer. We have
Just
snacks
like
and beer.
Colin also just chimed in and said, will work for beer. And Baby Ninja works for beer.
When
Baby Ninja is not on this coast.
Yeah, but we'll lure him out eventually. We're working. We'll get it. However, Baby Ninja, who you can't hear right now, I'm going to ask a question particularly to him. Do you go to Pennsic? He has not yet gone to Pennsic. Well, Morgan merchants at Pennsic during most normal years. And if you're on the East Coast, you can always find her at Pennsic. Most years, right?
Everything's weird in 2020. Yeah. It's
well, not this year, obviously, but you know, most years. Yeah. Okay, so should we move on?
Are we ready for the next one?
Yeah. I'm gonna ask this one. This one's from Narina O'Shaughnessy. The subject, and this was specifically for Morgan, by the way. So Morgan, I'm gonna give a little bit of a backstory here for those of you who do not know Morgan. When I joined the SCA in the early 90s, she'd been around for a few years by this point and was a fighter, one of the few female fighters that was going out on the field and kicking ass. And so as kind of this question came out as sort of a perspective, at least to me, like trying to give a perspective on how female fighters have been, how it's been to be a female fighter many years ago versus now. Because we have Helga's version of how it is now. She's fighting contemporaneously. So Narina asked this really good question, and I'm going to just jump right in and stop talking. The subject of female fighters and difficulties they may have faced in the early stages of the SCA has been discussed recently. What, if any, obstacles did you face while you were actively participating in armored combat?
Well, I got in long after fighters had gotten over the, oh my God, I'm not going to hit girls thing. Mm-hmm. That, fortunately, that had all blown over and was in the past, even back then. What did I face? I actually got a whole lot of encouragement. Mission College fighter practice was in full swing at that point. I got a ton of encouragement, help. At the beginning, this was a big fighter practice, and Earl Thomas, the incomplete, had a 6-week basic training class, like unarmored, just a sword and shield, and how to walk and how to move and how to throw blows, and all that was super great. Because frankly, back then, one of the biggest obstacles was actually getting armor that fit you and that could move, that you could move in. And I cobbled together a bunch of stuff, but for the critical body armor, I ended up, what did I have to do? I had to go to Stephen of Norham's workshop and stand over him and watch him do the thing that he had promised to do and was, late. Shocking. But I eventually ended up with a beautiful breast and back plate. It was a little wide here, so it was harder to do the cross moves, but I didn't really run into difficulties, and part of that was because I never got to the level where people had a problem with it. I had heard the rumors like, oh well, when you go to Australia and Pennsic and you're doing pickup fights, or some of these guys just want to hit girls really hard and make them go away, and I didn't put myself in the position where that could happen. And if I'd grown in skill, I would have ended up more in those kind of situations, I think. But I joined a war unit and, hid behind a shield wall and poked people in the head. That was awesome.
I remember your kit. Your kit was gorgeous.
I want to talk you back out. Like,
You want what?
You need to come back out.
Do I get to go over my 2-minute time here and answer this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. The armor doesn't fit. And the other problem that I've had is that I'm just personally not really athletic. And when I was in real fighting trim, I was working out 3 days a week and going to 2 fighter practices. And it dang near killed me because I'm just not, I've got like skinny little wrists and little bones, and it was a boatload of work. And when everything was really working, that was so worth it. But now it's like a bruise takes 2 weeks to heal up at this age. Okay. It sucks.
Yeah.
This getting old thing it's better than the alternative, but still kind of sucks.
You could just come up with my ward unit.
I really, really doubt that it's going to happen. The amount of time that I'd have to devote to doing that to really be any good at it, I don't know if it's going to happen.
I can accept that.
So the follow-up is actually a host question. We made it into kind of a broader question. I'm just going to say right off the bat that I really can't answer this because I don't heavy fight at all. I'm a fragile flower of femininity. I say that with tongue firmly in cheek, but I actually am physically not capable of doing it. I have just very, very, very weak wrists. I tried fencing one time when I was 15, ended up with hairline fractures that have never gone away in my wrists. So I'm not picking up any kind of stick, trust me. But the question is, do you face or see current obstacles in the heavy community as a female fighter / observer? I'm not going to say as an observer, but I'm going to throw this onto Danger Muppet here and let her speak from her.
Just going to huck me under this bus.
I'm going to throw you under that bus so hard.
So there are current obstacles. I'm going to say that I'm trying to figure out how to put this in like a PC manner. One, can somebody post the drinking rules to the chat group? Because we've actually got somebody asking for it while I answer this question. So there are some current obstacles, and but they're very different than what they used to be. I don't run into a lot of sexism. I don't run into a lot of girls can't do this. If anything, I run into too much help. Once you've proven that you can stay, there's like a weird barrier of you got to prove that you're going to stay. You got to prove you're going to stay. You got to prove you're going to stay. Okay, you prove that you're going to stay. Now you get drowned in the fire hose of help, which actually isn't helpful. And that's getting better. That's getting better as the fighter community is developing better as trainers themselves, because we do that to guys too. We also have a lot of misinformation out there. There are some physical differences between men and women, but most of that is completely negated by the size. Really, size is the biggest factor in what we do, at least in my personal opinion. Everybody can tell me I'm wrong, but it's my soapbox right now. But size is actually the biggest factor. So a lot of the small issue of like small guys run into the same issues that small women run into. I'm only 5'5". I can still hit like a truck. And so that's one of the things that it's just understanding proper mechanics and training and when to apply that. And I think that where guys get a relatively steady chunk of information and earlier acceptance, girls go from no acceptance to being drowned in information because, oh my God, you made it through the weird social hazing. Now you're here. So let's make sure you have all the things you need to stay. And that's just getting better. As we as a community are becoming better trainers, that is starting to go away. And we have better knowledge. We have better gear. There's a lot more information resources about proper armor fit. Because I will say the biggest problem with female fighters to this day is how do you fit these? These things right here, only problem. And there's a lot more armor research and there's a lot more armor like styles out there. Actually, on my Facebook page, I've got 4 different builds now for fitting the female chest. But that's the biggest thing is early armor fitting, and then don't drown them with a fire hose. Just treat them like everybody else. But other than that, I'll really say that the heavy community has been super supportive of me. If anything, I've gotten more pushback from other women, but that is a total societal soapbox that I can go on another time. But I really think that we're on the right path, and we're on the right path to see a much heavier or larger amount of female knights in the future, which is just like makes me super happy, because right now we have a bunch of really new female fighters, and they're staying and they're sticking, which means culturally we've started to fix some of the issues. And that just excites the hell out of me.
I have heard I've heard other women fighters who have talked about, and this also goes for trans fighters as well, who have breasts, basically. It's something that Morgan said, and I think you also said, Helga, that the hardest part is just getting the upper body armor, because, like you say, this action here does not like fit a standard size. Like men are kind of small, medium, large. You can kind of. Yes, Morgan. I was just gonna finish this and say that like any guy can kind of walk into a fighter practice off the street, and people can like pull together bits and pieces of armor and put it on said male body and hand him a stick and a shield, and he's ready to go, basically. It's a lot harder when you're not a standard size, and that does happen as well with male bodies, or female to male bodies, trans bodies as well. But mostly if you're just, it is a female shape body issue that I've heard others talk about.
Yeah,
so,
one of my little not so box, but one of the things that I always say in the SCA is, if you use the tools that they used, sometimes you can come up with results that look the way they did, and that certainly applies to armor. But it turned out that any reproduction of the Cherbourg 13 breastplate works perfectly for women. It's bulbous out here, yeah, but it's multiple plates, and they can scoosh together so you can move your arms. And once I built a Cherbourg 13 breastplate, mobility issues got way better.
So I'm also going to have to pile on this one. I'm sorry. I realize that we're trying not to do the pile on. There was something that actually came up in chat that I just read of size doesn't matter until you get hit. Wrong. Hardcore wrong. So body size. We actually use a lot of our power is based on frame weight transfer. It is easier. The heavier you are, or the more muscled, you have better frame weight transfer, which means I can hit somebody with a whole 190 pounds of myself, but somebody that is 110 can only hit somebody with 110 pounds of themselves. So their mechanics have to be more perfect and better timed and better placed than even mine do. And if I'm fighting a guy that is 210, he has another 30 pounds on me to hit me with. Size matters in striking and in taking shots, because yeah, believe me, being smaller and being hit like a truck kind of sucks because they can move you. Bailey was losing his mind. On the other hand,
if we don't move on, I'm gonna soapbox about that.
Do it.
Really?
But I just that comment, I'm really sorry, and actually it came from one of my dear friends. I'm just gonna step in and say that the smaller you are, the more perfect you have to be at fighting, both in hitting and taking a blow. And that is something that everybody should consider, both men and women. Like, hard, like, soapbox, everybody drink.
Okay, am I going to soapbox, or are we going to move on?
Oh, no, you can soapbox. We figured this one was going to be the question that bound us all up.
Well, it probably is. Now, the thing with great big people with huge long monkey arms and their ability to smack you into next week, all right, they can do that more easily than a smaller person does. However, the thing about this game is that each kingdom and the SCA as a whole, we have an acceptable range of blows that you can take. Okay, this is too light, and this is too light, and this is too light, and that's okay. And then just like, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Good. Wow, that's good. Well, that is too effing hard. You are going to injure people. Do not hit people like that. And if you hit too many people like that, they're not going to want to play with you, and you're going to drive people away. If we want to keep this game accessible for the 110-pound people as well as the 250-pound, beefy people. We need to stick to a kingdom standard calibration. And that's for your king. You need some kingdoms hit harder than others, so I'm told. But if we stick to a calibration that's reasonable for human beings and that we can maybe recover from our bruises, it's going to be a more accessible game for everybody. And yeah, big guys, if you're smacking people seriously into next week, nobody wants to play with you anymore. I guess it wasn't as long a soapbox as I thought it was. But it was emphatic.
Soapbox of actually learn your kingdom's calibration.
Well, there's a lot of people that there's this thing where people are like, well, I hit really hard and I count really hard, but I hit really hard too. And it's like, no, that's not okay. No, you need to count and hit within your kingdom's game, or you're playing a different game and go off and do the whatever the heck, HMB, Battle of Nation, any of that kind of, go do that, because that is the place for tackling people and beating them upside the head.
Yeah. So I'm just going to close this out with, also, I want to point out that both of us are from the West, that we're fighters here, and I understand that we're a little spoiled. You may run into some sexism across the known world. It's not completely gone, and I'm not saying that it's completely gone. And I want to be very clear on that, because there is some times where you run into it. I'm just saying that it's gotten a lot better. And also, if anybody's sexist with another female fighter, come find me. I'll go start issues. I got no problem dealing with that stuff. So we'll go from there. So,
also, trans fighters. Let's just throw that out there as well, because
trans fighters also, you get shit from somebody, I will go deal with that. What are they gonna do? Take away my birthday? So
I can take away your birthday.
With that, shall we roll on to the next question?
Yeah, let's get on the next one.
Well, okay. Should we have a question, or should we have Tulia open her Prezi?
Oh, that's right. I have a present. So
so I'm gonna babble here for just a moment. Tulia has a Prezi that I dropped off this afternoon.
It's not shoes.
It's in a shoe box. It's not shoes, and it's not a gift from me. This is a gift from Krista of Starfall that she commissioned for you months and months ago, and I'm finally getting it done. And this is the only way that I could have her see the look on your face without waiting another year for an event.
Oh, shit.
There's a lot of bubble wrap.
Krista, I know you're in the chat because I've been talking with you. Holy shit. I have wanted one of these things. So this is Morgan's.
Laurel circlet.
Morgan does a laurel circlet. And this thing, when she debuted it last year, I was literally like, shut up and take my money. And we've been talking about it for almost a year now, getting it done. And Jesus, Krista, fuck, thank you.
Are you just going to put it on top of your
this is also, since we also are plugging Morgan right now, this is also one of Morgan's pieces. This is my favorite coronet ever. This is one of her Gothic tracery coronets. And you can go to laurelcavanagh.com, laurelcavanagh.com, or Etsy Mad Jeweler, and you can get one of your very own. And I'm just going to switch this bad boy out for this one. And feel like, holy crap, oh my god. I love this so much. Thank you, Krista. Jesus Christ, that is
that's amazing,
unexpected, and so sweet of you. Thank you. Funnily enough, I actually just switched my Facebook profile picture to me modeling the prototype of this last year. Morgan was hanging out and she's like, check this out, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm gonna put that on my head right now. And I snapped this selfie of me wearing it. It's my current Facebook picture, and I just completely, wow, this is so great. Thank you Morgan for making it. Thank you, Krista, for commissioning it. I am humbled, and I'm never taking it off ever again. So thank you.
Awesome.
All right, next question.
All right, the next question comes from Eric of Two Ravens. Name a hill you're willing to die on that is okay, so here's the kicker. Name a hill that you're willing to die on that likely will never change in the SCA.
I am so ready for this.
I picked this question specifically for you, Morgan.
Oh my God. I didn't know if I'd get to go off on this rant, but I'm so happy I get to go off on this rant.
Oh, girl.
All right. So I was actually hoping that you'd have the question, what would you throw out in the SCA, which was left over from a couple weeks ago?
I mean, you could kind of work that in if you wanted.
Yeah, but that's basically where I'm going here. What I think that we ought to do, that is never going to happen, but I think we ought to do it, is completely fucking throw out the entire structure of titles in this organization. I've thought this for years in a small way, because we should have had, Master and Mistress be, the AOA level thing, and Lord and Lady be the peerage level thing, because that's more accurate. And later on, and it was just like 4 weeks ago or something, I got sat back on my heels with I think it was Mistress Harley, who had said, this business with Master and Mistress, this is kind of not okay. And I had previously thought, that's, how would you find that offensive? And now when she says that, I'm like, holy fuck, how can that not be offensive? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Rocked me back on my heels, and I thought, you know what? Fuck all that noise. Make all of us, all of the peers, knights of the something or other. We can have knights of the rattan, and we can have knights of the rapier, and we can have knights of the damn horses. We can have knights of the laurel and knights of the pelican, and everybody gets called sir or dame or whatever medieval equivalent you want. Pitch the whole thing. That is the hill I would die on.
I've always said that anyone else getting a weird echo? Sorry, I just got a weird echo. Okay. So I've always, not always, but over the last couple of years have come around to the idea that we really fucked up when it came to creating the peerage orders. And it's basically what Morgan said, and I think I've said this on another show before, which is, we all should have been knights. Like all the peers, if you were a peer, you should have been a knight, like Morgan said. So they had the Knights of the Bath, the Knights of the Garter, the Knights of the Golden Fleece, like all these orders in history that were essentially created as kind of these ancillary peerage orders. So in the SCA, what we could have done is we could have had Knights of the Laurel, Knights of the Chivalry, Knights of Defense, Knights of the Pelican, and again, we could have all been knights, and we could have all figured out these, it just would have been a more historically accurate thing. And so and then make Lord and Lady the peerage title. And if you were going to retain Master Mistress, but yes, I have been following this is a problematic title thing. But if we were going to go with that in a very Anglo-centric worldview that the SCA was based on originally, Master Mistress would have been the title that you would have given to someone who is like good gentle, like that is your introductory level title, that somebody would have been like, that would be your AOA title essentially, and then your Lord and Lady and the armiger levels of titles would have gone with the peerages, and that would have been a completely, I feel like, more historically accurate way of doing it. But of course, when this whole thing was made in 1966, they weren't really thinking along those lines quite that far, and all of these little things got tacked on one by one after the fact over the next successive X amount of years. And so now we're left with this like weird, funky way of doing things that don't make any sense as far as like historical accuracy is concerned. They make internal sense within the organization because we make them make sense, but they don't make any kind of historical sense. So, but that's actually not my hill I'd die on. My hill I'd die on.
That counts as a soapbox then.
It kind of does. Okay, soapbox, fine. Well, and also if my my lovely boyfriend is listening, I'd like another cocktail. But the thing I would die on is actually kingdom specific. In the West Kingdom, we don't have grant level awards for arts, fighting, and service. And so I would totally die on the hill of, we need to get a mid-level award. We have the AOA level awards, the the leaves of achievement. So rose leaf, ash leaf, and leaf of merit. And is there one for, is ash leaf just cover the all fighting, I think?
It's
right?
all fighting.
It's all fighting.
So
And
you
then
can get your ash leaf for equestrian too.
right, yeah. So so we have that, and then there's nothing else until peerage level. So other kingdoms, in fact, the vast majority of other kingdoms out there have a middle ground, which is the grant level. So the, you know, the title that goes along that with the honorable lord, lady, armiger, etc. And I feel like the West Kingdom is really missing out on like this thing, because I had to survive 15 years of nothing between my AOA level and my peerage. And I would have loved to have had a pat on the back, an atta girl, a good job you're doing great, stick the course, keep doing the good thing. And then I get told over and over again that we're not like the Boy Scouts, we're not collecting merit badges, we're not, you know, in it for the cookies. And I'm like, actually, I totally am. I would love more merit badges. And if only one merit badge I get is a grant level award, I'm happy.
I have a soapbox about merit badges, just so you know.
Okay, do it.
All right, you ready for this?
I'll go for it.
I am 100% okay with people needing merit badges. Just because I don't need merit badges doesn't mean that somebody else, that I just think lesser of somebody else that does. Because I'm taking away their joy, and that is fucking bullshit. Just so I'm clear on this one, is if they need an award system so they know where they're at, that's okay. That is 100% okay. If I don't need an award system to know where I'm at, that's also okay. We're a fucking spectrum of people. Be okay with somebody else celebrating their awards, even if you're just like, oh cool, I got this thing, and like moving on. Two spectrums, that's okay. It actually gives us this huge group to play with, and everybody else in between. Sorry, I hate when people are like, oh, it's like merit badges. I'm like, yeah, you want to know what's really cool about merit badges? I got to sew them on this sash thing and run around and be like, I collected more than everybody else.
Yes, exactly.
So, sorry, that was a little bit of boob there.
Yeah, well, when I lived in Kaid, there are a bunch of folks that, because they do have grant level awards, there were a bunch of folks that would make necklaces that had all the various awards on them. And that can be done in a classy manner.
Mm-hmm. It's okay if people want to wear all the awards that they, I mean, so the other part too is it's kind of a cultural thing, you know, and Morgan and Helga as well, you guys all came from Sinagua originally. Mm-hmm. And in Sinagua, there is definitely, or at least at the time I grew up in Sinagua, Principality of the West Kingdom, if nobody knows where Sinagua is. There's always been a thing where, you know, everybody kind of wears all the awards that they get, or like their, you know, most significant medallions and things like that. It's less of a thing in the mists. So, and I think that's great, actually. I'm like, go you got the cool thing. You want to be proud of it. You should be proud of it. And other people should congratulate you when they see that you're wearing like, you know, shit, I wore my rose leaf, which is the West Kingdom AOA level for arts that I got when I was 19. I wore that thing until I got my laurel. And I gave it away. So otherwise I'd still be wearing it, but I gave it to another worthy person who earned it and passed it along. But it meant so much to me to have that award. Why wouldn't I want to wear it? And so that there's kind of a weird cultural thing too, I think, in the West Kingdom where it's like
we all just got noted drink because we all just pulled before I was here.
Yeah. And we also pulled about in the West too. So anyway.
I cleverly got around that by saying when I was in Kaid instead of when I was.
Oh no, that counts because we count out of kingdoms.
Oh, that's okay. I'm drinking a lot anyway.
So, the hill that I would die on, and this is a very totally spilled my drink, or what was left of my drink. Hans, can I have a towel or something? I decided to decorate my desk.
And another drink.
Yeah. So the hill I would die on, and this is super Western specific, and also this deals with a Western bias. Everybody's going to drink here in a second. Thank you for the towel, honey. In the West, everybody drink. The only titles on field or allowed on field are those that you have won. And I bought into this for fucking years. And I am also super against this after having a conversation with a duke from another kingdom while I was an unbelt. Drink again.
I'm getting so drunk.
And he set me straight. And actually, surprisingly, I've used it in both reigns. And again, drink. I think that if you have a title, that title should be honored in any place that you walk into. I don't care if you're a lord, a lady, anything. You have earned that title. And I think that one of the things the West does is we are pretentiously unpretentious.
Yeah,
Also, we're fucking assholes about it.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, and if somebody's a lord or a lady, I want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate that just as much as somebody getting a peerage. The AOA is one of the most powerful awards we have. You want to know what? When somebody walks onto the field, I'm going to call them Lord so-and-so. When somebody has a grant, your lordship, your ladyship, if somebody has a peerage, I will honor that peerage. Because as a knight, I am honored in any circle I walk into. It doesn't matter if I'm not a laurel. I'm honored as a knight if I walk into a classroom where a laurel is teaching, I am still addressed as sir. You want to know what? A laurel and a pelican and a mod, no matter what field they're on, should have the same honor. A lord or a lady should have the same honor. Part of this is we are recreating an idealized version of the society. I don't care where you're at. If you wish me to use your title, I happily will. Because it brings you joy. It should be even across the board because all peerages are even. And if we don't treat them that way, we are stealing somebody else's joy, and that's bullshit. So there's my weird hill that I'll die on. That in the West, somebody would probably want to take me out behind the pavilion and beat me to death, but bring it the fuck on. And anytime I can, I will honor somebody with their title. Because that's how I can gift them some respect. That's how I can gift them what they have done in the society and where they're at. And even if it's as little as using Lord and Lady for them, that's their joy and that's what they've done. And hell yes, I'm going to celebrate that until the day I die.
All right. Well, we've been getting movie sign for the last several minutes from
Sorry. We stuck on this question for a while.
So are we going to go to our commercial break? I don't know. I hear silence.
Oh, okay, we got another question in us.
Okay, we got one more question until we can go to commercial break. So,
morning, I just knocked off my pin for my tunic. I'm sorry, y'all.
That's cool.
So,
all right, so this one's mine. This one's from Sir Rifkin. What are your big SCA goals and what are you doing to work toward achieving them and what roadblocks do you see to your success?
Goodness gracious. I've got all of the award cookies already, so it's not about award cookies. Goals. Mostly, all right. I would like to actually have a freaking apprentice and have them graduate. That would be really cool because everybody around me, including and especially Tulia, has got flippin' apprentices. She's part of this gigantic shrub, this huge food web of interconnected laurels and apprentices and all this stuff. And it's gigantic. I have nothing. I have nothing. I was not an apprentice because that really wasn't done back then. And I have had one apprentice that did not work out. I taught calligraphy in my home for 2.5 years, and not one of those people stuck with scribal activities. What am I doing wrong?
You're not doing anything wrong. It's like relationships. Just because they don't work out doesn't mean that you're fucking up.
I don't know. The only common denominator over 30-something years is me.
I have the same. Trust me, I get it. But I'm gonna let Helga answer because it's her next.
Sorry, I was totally catching up on the comments.
I'm reading the chat too.
So the chat is blowing up tonight, and it's amazing.
Chat rules.
What are your big SCA goals, and what are you doing towards achieving them? So there's a couple. One, I'd really love to win crown. I think that would be awesome.
I would
Probably
shove
Coronet
it.
first because Hansa really needs to be princess for 6 months because I think that would be delightful.
Then
And
you can make me princess.
yeah, no, like I'm gonna make him princess, and then I'm gonna make him like queen once, and then the list is like
I want to be princess.
there's a long list of people. You're at the top of that list that really need to happen. Also, Kunahild needs to be queen.
Oh, fuck yes.
Hardcore.
I would vote for her. For
Like,
sure.
though she might drown me in the process.
It would be worth it.
Yeah. And so that's one of my goals. Roadblocks that I see to that success is literally me. I let my fraud complex win a lot. And I go into a mode where I beat myself up about my fighting and my training to the point of like toxicity, like internal toxicity. And I'm really working on like actually expressing when I'm there and then trusting my trainers to be like, no, you idiot, you're fine. And I just had a big dose of that recently when I was hanging out with a group of basically my heroes, and they're like, you give me a run for my money, like maybe, just maybe, you could get over this false humility bullshit and actually fight me. That'd be great. And so that's one of the things that I have to remember is that when I start getting internalizing toxic, I have to call myself on it. The other, like, I have so many SCA goals still. Like, I'm a double peer.
He's on a mission.
I'm triple peer, and I've got missions. Like, at some point, I would love to be a Laurel, but I've got to get over like my burnout of writing papers. I need to get into research, and I understand like where my roadblock is there, and that's my own burnout. And there's a little bit of anger around it. And what really needs to happen there to get over that roadblock is I need to sit down with Laurels that I trust and actually discuss that path with them in a real manner. But I need to also do that where I can express my anger and understand why I'm still angry about it.
So anger is the biggest motivator. You're fine.
Spite is my motivator. Anger is bad. Yeah. Anger like stops me cold. So spite is great. Anger bad.
Okay.
And so I think those are my two big roadblocks right now. Is one, I'd like to win crown. I need to stop stepping on my own dick. And someday I'd like to be a Laurel. I also need to stop stepping on my own dick. Tulia?
I just want to survive the next like however long until there's a vaccine. That's my next goal. For my real answer is SCA goals. I want to make the SCA a better place. I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I just know that if people are having I say this over and over again, if people are having a good time and nobody wants to kill each other, unless it's consensual, then everything is great and we're doing good. And there's always room for improvement, and to find those areas of improvement and to identify them and to figure out ways to make them better so more people can have a good time. I kind of feel like that's my mission going forward. It's top level now. I've been working on the lower levels for a long time, like, teaching one-on-one, teaching in classes, like hands-on, participating in stuff. And now I want big concept. I want it to be a cool place where people can be safe and happy and have a good time and be fun and indulge in their weird little eccentricities in a safe way. And the biggest roadblock to that, other people. It's like Sartre said, hell is other people. So I try to just do the best I can with the people I've got and with what I've got. And that's as much as I can do right now. But
all right. And with that, I believe we have a commercial break.
I'm so excited about movie sign. I don't need to pee this time.
We don't. Oh, no.
And now we present Feed the Ravens. Feed the Ravens is your go-to place for Viking, Russ, and Slavic needs. Scott and Maggie have offered handcrafted historical textiles, jewelry, and campwear sourced from Europe for over a decade. And of course, they are the only source for the much sought-after Maggie mugs, one-of-a-kind handmade pottery based on historical examples from across medieval Europe. Check out their Etsy store at Feed the Ravens. That URL is etsy.com/shop/feedtheravens.
Well, and with that, there was our first in-break commercial. Support your merchants. And the lady in the lake has shown up with her question. Oh, I would like to note, this might be the question of the year. French fries or chips? Favorite English slang and why?
What did she say? What are chips?
French fries or chips?
Oh, hang on.
Oh,
They can't hear us.
French
We're
fries.
still muted. We're still muted.
We're
Okay, we're back. Now people can hear us.
We are.
There's a delay, okay?
We're getting used to this, okay? We're like up in our budget, which means we're just going to screw up. So the lady in the lake has brought us our question. French fries or chips? Your favorite English slang? So what she's using is, the slang is French fries or chips. So what's your favorite English slang?
Oh, I've been hanging around with my very best friend married an Englishman, and it's fascinating, the different just weird little different things. They were walking down the street and he says, get up on the pavement, and she's like, and she's walking in the street and she says, well, I am on the pavement. No, get up on the pavement, there's a car coming. And he yanks her onto the sidewalk and says, I was on the pavement. No, this is the pavement. No, that's the sidewalk. So I don't know as I have a favorite, except that I love how they spell favorite.
Favorite, anything with an OU.
Yes.
So I'm a giant Anglophile. Like I jokingly say I speak both British English and American English pretty fluently. And to the point where I don't even realize like what I'm saying anymore half the time. But I would have to say, so chips do kind of throw me. My brain cannot they make the mental switch from Lay's potato chips to French fry when I'm in England half the time. So it just feels weird to be like, I want some chips. It's kind of weird, but
there's a crisps, darling.
Crisps. No, what I meant like when I'm trying to order French fries and I'll say French fries and then they're like, oh God, you're American. And I'm like, shit, yes, I am. I gave myself away. You all think I'm Canadian because I enunciate my words, and now I've given myself away as being an American. Anyway, that was the thing I got a lot actually when I was living in London was, oh, are you from Canada? I'm like, no, actually. But my favorite, absolute favorite, British phrase, I think, is bog standard. It's like run of the mill. It's like what we say is run of the mill. Bog standard is just like, it's your bog standard piece of fabric or whatever. I love bog standard. I use it all the time, and now it's become part of my lexicon, and it just flows out like it's a natural piece of things. So yeah, pick that up from my British friends.
So I'm going to say that I'm an uneducated American. I use slang from everywhere. Can I tell you where it's from? Nope. So I'm sorry to be the disappointment here. But yeah, I'm a terrible human. I don't know what my favorite English slang is.
I like cock up. That's a good one too.
Oh, cock up is really good. Actually, never mind. I'm gonna choose that one.
Can I give you a selection of my favorites?
Yeah, no, I use that one too. So
what was that? Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, are we ready for the next question?
Yes.
Okay, this one comes from Kunahild. Have you ever had a moment in a museum or gallery where you see something and think, hey, I can make that, and then I have a whole little internal moment about how far you've come as an artist or a craftsperson?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. When I carved the piece that became my pelican, the stuff that not that I have a pelican, but I have built pelicans that I sell to people. I was working from photographs of the pelican jewel in the British Museum. And I finally got to go over there in 2005 and see the thing, and just blown away. I was absolutely blown away. But still, I had to think to myself, I made choices about how to do things slightly differently I had to make a standard round jewel for the breast because they had this big, gorgeous ruby that's not it's not round. There's a word. The word is gone because alcohol. Anyway, not oblong. Anyway, irregular. It was irregular. So to be able to do this, I need to have a nice wrist. So it's a 5mm round, usually garnet, but occasionally ruby. And I chose to have it more directly poking itself in the breast rather than having its head tucked under its wing. And I gave it 2 babies instead of 1. But I looked at the thing and went, maybe I totally didn't blow that. And that was one of the first times when I thought to myself, hey, I actually didn't suck with that. So that was pretty cool.
Was the word was the word you were looking for Baroque?
Maybe Baroque. It's irregular was probably what I was going for, because if it was big, they weren't going to trim it down to make it regular. Regular was not what they cared about. They cared about big.
Yeah.
Big.
Well,
like
Fleeta actually was like, is the word, she in the chat was like, oh, Baroque. And I was like, yeah, that was actually the word I was trying to find, and I couldn't because my brain went Rococo, which is a completely different style.
That's okay. But they'd have, there are crowns, royal crowns that have big honking sapphires. I mean, like big honking sapphires in them, and they're clearly drilled. They're drilled for beads. The jeweler bought this as a bead coming from, Afghanistan across the Silk Road or wherever it originated from, India maybe. And they didn't care if it was drilled through. It was still a sapphire, and they were going to put it in that damn crown, whether it was drilled or not. Pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Awesome. There's at least 2 examples of it. It's pretty, including Crown of Charlemagne. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's something you actually bring up a really good point about, is that our ideas of what we think should be used as jewel, like a jewel-worthy gem, does not apply to anything prior probably to like the 19th century. And the costuming is the same way. It's like how we talk about, the internal, I hear this a lot. This is probably going to be a soapbox, and this really isn't addressing the conversation, but now I'm on this topic and I'm going to go with it. When I was up and coming in my costuming, and this wasn't just in the SCA, this was inside the SCA and also outside of it in other historical costuming venues, there was a real thing where your insides of your costume had to look perfect as your outside. So you could turn the entire thing inside out and wear it, and no one would know that it was inside out. And that's bullshit. Historically, accurately speaking, after I started doing research and I realized the shit that they 16th century people would do when they were just trying to get a garment done so they could wear it, it's all like monkey stitching and like cobbled together, and the velvet doesn't go, the nap doesn't go in the same direction, and they're just piecing shit in upside down. If it's got a pattern on it, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's on the front of the dress or the back of the dress or both sides of the dress, or who cares, they just need that thing to be wearable. And
fabric was expensive.
Yeah, fabric was expensive, and there wasn't a lot of it, and you had to use the scraps that you had, or you just had to use what was at hand, or the thing had to be modified, and it couldn't be modified in such a way that could, preserve a pattern in a certain direction. So you had to flip something around. You had to cut the train off and then stick it on the front, and therefore the pattern's running the wrong direction. But nobody prior to the Victorians gave a shit about any of the perfectionistic shit that we inherited. And it was very liberating to me when I started doing research in costuming, in historical costuming, and I'd learned all this, and I was like, oh, I can do monkey stitching. I can leave my seams exposed on the inside. Yeah. Anywho.
Well, it's not just costuming. There's a comment, Agnes Berengari has said in the chat that embroidery was that way too. Absolutely, it was.
The embroidery specifically, and you see this a lot too in the embroidery communities, where they're like, they'll flip it over immediately. In fact, I do this too, because I've been trained this way, to just flip it over to see what the back looks like. And if the back is as perfect as the front, go you. If the back has like little threads and weird shit like hanging off of it, or it's not like a perfect like reverse of the front, oh, you fucked this up. Like, no, it's not how it was back then. Anyway.
And the illumination was the same way, and the metalworking is the same way. There's so much that's not perfect, and it's really refreshing when you find the documentation that's like, oh, they screwed it up too. Oh, Tulia has a soapbox.
Alison called me out in the comments on YouTube and said, where's my soapbox? And I said, it's right here. So, but to answer your question, the actual question at hand is, yeah, I have actually had those moments in going through museum and seeing something and being like, I can do that and I can do it better. That's always the fun part. But the real thing is you haven't been to a museum with me until I've set the alarm off. So it's not a museum visit with Tulia until the alarm goes off, because usually I am like pressing my face against something that I shouldn't be, or getting too close.
And why don't they show the back in the first place?
Oh my God, I know. Which is why I actually like the V&A, because the V&A knows that like nerds like me want to see like 360 views. And so normally they're like going to give you as much as, view as they can, either hanging it or, walk around the case or something like that. But I don't know, man. That's a whole thing. Helga?
I would like to note that somebody just said in the chat that perfection is the tool of Victorian Karens. And I'm really glad I wasn't drinking when I read that.
I want to, who is that person? Who's that? Oh, Agnes said that. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Hilarious.
So, hey, can I make that as a craft person? Oh, hell yes. I would like to know a person that is not named ended up sneaking a bunch of photos of a shield display for me that you weren't supposed to take photos of. And I have those photos, and 100% I am going to be making some of those shields. Like, I am all over that. I'll be using much more modern materials to get it done, but it will look very similar to what it was. Also, they just released a huge study on one of the early period constructed shields, and so I'm going to geek out on that for a little while. And so my goal is to be able to make that and then hand the documentation in of like, here's a period shield. Here's mine.
Fuckers.
All right, we ready to go to the next one?
Yeah, I need to finish this comment. Okay, yes. Okay, so the next comment is guest specific, another one from Narina, actually. She gave us a twofer, and we kind of had to ask both of these. So what was the most difficult commissioned piece of jewelry you made, and why?
Hands down, Viscountess Genevieve's coronet.
I was going to say. The fairy
got a line this time.
Fairy coronet.
Wow. Well, yeah. Viscountess Marguerite, before she was a Viscountess, she was Pelican Marguerite, wanted to have a fancy thing done for her good friend, Genevieve. And she got together a whole lot of her friends, and they all pitched in, and they needed to. And she did all the sketches and whatever, like, what would we do? And because Genevieve, we love her to death. She is the sweetest, kindest, wonderful human. She is the pretty pink princess, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she takes care of her toys, so you can make her lofty, delicate things, and she will freaking take care of them. So I'm like, I am so going to town with this. And we did all kinds of sketches and took ideas from what I call the Pretty Princess crown, which is the crown of Blanche of Lancaster. And it's literally, the original one is about this big around, and it's literally like 8 inches tall. It's freaking huge, and it's crusted with gemstones, and it's the most elaborate freaking thing in the late 15th century. It's unfreaking believable. And most people with our modern aesthetic look at this thing and go, oh my God, that's insanely gaudy.
It's so gorgeous.
But it's gorgeous. But when you zero in and you look at the thing carefully, past all of the, you know, the rubies and the sapphires and whatever, the structure of it is also really beautiful. And it's built on Gothic tracery, all the Gothic tracery pieces. Sarah, Tulia, pick up your coronet and hold it to the camera.
Shoot,
The Gothic one.
put it in my box.
Oh,
I got it.
you take that coronet, all right, and you hold it upright, all right, hold it the other direction.
Wait, this way?
Okay, that, anyway, that piece, which I've put horizontally, if you flip it vertically and put hinges on the long sides of it, that is the piece that connects these giant pieces of this crown. All right, there are 12 pieces of this crown, and that's the connector piece right there. And I stole it because I have a Gothic tracery problem. So
As
we
one
have,
should.
right, but we put in her, she's got a cross.
It's a cross of Toulouse.
Toulouse.
Yeah,
Cross
her
of
cross
Toulouse.
of Toulouse.
And
yeah.
there's little garnets on the edges where the little dots are supposed
Okay.
to be, and it's the most elaborate freaking thing. But the thing was, I didn't cast it, I freaking fabricated it.
What do you
This
mean?
took me literally months and months and months. And I'm actually was a better goldsmith at the end of it because I got a lot of practice with the fabrication there. And we assembled, and I made it out of gold filled material, which is significant layer of gold. But then I still had to have the whole thing plated to make it all even colored and everything. Insanely elaborate. It took me for freaking ever. And it's still what I would consider a masterwork. And you know, if we're going to throw out all the whole master mistress title things, we need to find a new term for masterwork. Just saying. Did that answer the question?
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
So for the hosts, most difficult commission piece? I think I get to answer this first since it's technically your question.
Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, shoot. Good.
I'm going to actually say the Cancer Shield I did for Aidenvelt's cancer tournament that happens at Estrella. That was definitely a stretch a flex project. I did a bunch of research into diapering and how it was done and color layering. And then to get into a more medieval aesthetic, I actually changed how I was using my acrylic paints because I paint everything with acrylic because it's cheap. And so I was using, I upped my game to get it to look a little bit more period, because I really was invested in that shield. And so it's actually much more how they would have presented arms and the top of a scroll, than it is an actual shield. But I'm still very proud of it. And God, did it take me for a long time. Also, I really I still despise those lions, but those lions are much more period than they actually would have been. So they look slightly weird. Versus my modern eye would have made them look more like lions. And so it was a really good stretch project for me.
You know, every project has its difficulties. I can't think of one particular. Oh no, I can in fact think of one particular one. It wasn't a dress. I was commissioned to make a surcoat, a fighting surcoat, for a fighter, and I could not figure out how to make it work to where he was comfortable in it, and did what he wanted it to do, and also looked like the thing that he wanted it to look like. It literally drove me insane. So I learned the limitations of my skills. I used to be like, I can draft anything, I can drape it, whatever, I can sew it. And then I was like, I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do it for fighters. So sorry, guys. Guys, girls, you know, guys, I'm Californian, so guys is non-gender specific. But yeah, I have struggled with making utilitarian clothing, I guess. Whereas if I'm just making something pretty and you just have to stand still and you don't want to raise your arms past here, I got you. I got you, fam. You don't have to, because I can do that for you. I can also actually make, you know, dresses where you can do a full range of movement. But yeah, for some reason that one thing completely blew my tiny mind. I couldn't do it. So yeah, I would say that's probably my most difficult commission.
All right, so we're ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right, the next question of the night. What would you rather sleep wearing? Handcuffs or a bike helmet?
Bike helmet. I got a nice bike helmet. The only problem with the bike helmet is when I'm riding my bike, my hair itches. I can't just scratch my head. But no, handcuffs would make me absolutely insane. So I'm picking bike helmet.
I'm going with handcuffs. I sleep on my side. It would drive me insane if I couldn't just like roll over. And if I've got my hands cuffed and I could just be like this, I'm cool with that. Like, go with handcuffs. You shut up, Helga. You shut up. And you shut up, baby ninja, in the background. Nobody can hear.
Helga can't shut up. She's got to talk next.
Yep. I'm going to go with a bike helmet. I've never fallen asleep in handcuffs.
Oh, girl.
Aftercare is important. Never leave your subs in handcuffs. Like, for fucking sake. Really?
Are you a sub?
No, hell no. Oh,
I know. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, why are you in handcuffs?
I've never left my subs in handcuffs.
Okay.
Okay. Earth breaks. Hang on one second. So I do have some weird subby tendencies, but I am not a sub.
Did you see my eyebrow?
I like your eyebrow just hit your like hairline. Like I'm a switch. I'm just a primal switch, and I'm a weirdo.
Hey, girl.
Also, I really, really enjoy chasing people down. But that was not the question.
Well, in the next very special episode, we will talk all about Helga's kinks.
Nobody wants to know those.
It'll be a multi-part series.
Hard no.
All right. So last question. Our bonus question. Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
This is from Eric of Two Ravens. What do spite sprinkles taste like?
Victory. They taste like victory.
That's a really, really good answer. Sweet taste.
Oh, I forgot to cut and paste and put that question in chat. Hang on one moment. My bad. Because I'm super curious what the audience has to say what spite sprinkles taste like.
We have the blood of my enemies from Radar.
Oh, Radar is not wrong.
Spite sprinkles for me taste delicious. They taste like emotional victory over everybody that has told me I can't, which is sweet and belongs on my coffee, along with a little bit of whipped cream and a large dose of fuck you.
So we have victory and fuck you. So this is good.
Be slightly like, sugar-coated fuck you is pretty much what it tastes like. Although I do like Radar's The Blood of My Enemies. That's really, really good.
I was about to say, sugar-coated fuck you. Is that like hate sex?
Might be. Hey, girl. We did, if we want, we did get a question come in at the last minute, and I now can't find it, for our guest. Oh, Jesus. Oh, right, it was. And I'm sorry, I can't say who posted this because we can't find it, but Baby Ninja just reminded me it is, what was your best fight from Kaid?
Well. I get to have a Glory Days story. All right, so in Kaid, the queen picks her guard as she sees fit. The queen is going to put on her guard who she freaking well wants to have on her guard. And, because in up here, it's usually fighters of a certain caliber. But no, Kaid, the queen has a guard, and she puts on her guard who she damn well pleases. And it pleased Queen Kainwyn in her second reign to put me on her guard. And yes, I still have the favor. And but the great thing about being on the guard is that you get pulled over to the knight's side in invocation, and this had never happened to me before, and it was the best thing ever. Oh my god. So, and I'm like, oh, I'm like trying not to have my eyes bug out. I'm like, I'm going to be gracious about this. All right, we're good. I'm reflecting, honor onto the queen and my consort and all this. All right, so I'm standing there graciously. And so I get challenged, and it's a woman fighter that challenges me. And she comes up and she's great, you know, reasonably gracious and blah, blah, and introduces and stuff and the thing. And I can see in her eyes, she thinks she can beat me. She thinks she can beat me. And I'm like, calm, gonna be gracious here. I'm gonna be gracious here. Thank you very much. This will be delightful. We'll see you on the field, blah, blah, blah. Here's my list card. And I'm like, I can't hardly contain myself because I've seen her fight, seen her practice. I have got this. Okay. Poor thing has one of those square shields. One of those square shields where when you hold it up, she's holding it up, and the point is like this. I'm like, oh, honey. She's on guard. I swear to God, it was not even difficult. I freaking like right in the slot, kapooey! And she's like, oh. And she, you know, graciously fell down. And as was the custom there at the time, graciously, I held my shield over her to shade her as she got up and was gracious and stuff. And then I went back into my, you know, the back of the sunshade. I went, yes! And
I'm gonna steal that custom, just so you know.
That was the best. That was literally like the peak of my career.
Wow.
Well, there was ducking some idiot who thought he had me in unbelted tourney and Kaid. That was pretty great too, because I ducked and it went right over my head and he spun around and ended up on his knees all confused. I really wish I'd stepped in and killed him at that point. But
Morgan, are you saying that you ducked a guy and he put himself on his knees in front of you to make up for that?
No, he just spun around, had no idea what the fuck was going on, and ended up like all discombobulated. And I wish I'd hit him in the head.
I really need to get better at my one-liners.
You're what?
I really need to get better at my one-liners.
So that was my very best fight in Kaid.
Nice.
Whoever sent that question in, thank you very much.
I'm so sorry I missed entirely who did it.
They pass you by, glory days.
It was a whole thing.
But wink of a young girl's eye.
You. Oh, it was no, it wasn't. Sorry. Never mind.
Thank you to whoever said that and gave me this chance to relive my glory days.
Well, I can hear somebody furiously scribbling on things behind me. Oh, hang on one moment. There was
the lady?
The sticky note flew off.
The Lady of the Lake.
We love the Lady of the Lake.
Her arm clad in the purest shimmering samite.
I'm not ready yet. Ask Morgan more questions.
We love you, Lady of the Lake.
The show can't almost be over.
What?
Because she's awesome.
What? What?
This is the first time we're actually trying to stick to the hour-and-a-half mark.
All right, I can't read the notes.
What's your favorite Pennsic memory?
Oh, goodness. All right, I'm not actually bragging, but I can't remember how many Pennsics I've been to. It's more than 20.
Mm-hmm.
But probably one of the better was, you know, glory days kind of thing. I'm going to have to go back to Pennsic 20, which was 1988, I think-ish. Somebody will correct me in the comments because people on the East Coast absolutely know every single Pennsic. It was the first Pennsic that they had the woods battle back up beyond Mount Iceland. And I'm with the company of Griffin's Guard at the time. Still am. I haven't quit. Theoretically mercenary unit. And that was the weirdest freaking thing because we're like, seriously, there were like 4 of us. 4. No, Pennsic 20, there were several of us. That was 18, there were 4. Pennsic 20, we all came out and we hired out to the Prince of Nordmark. So we had the Swedish Prince of Nordmark who was adorable. He was so cute and he had this gorgeous accent. And we're running around in the field battle or in the woods battle, way up there in the poison ivy and all kinds of stuff. Hills, dales, here and there. They had runners and scouts and stuff. Like, oh, you should come over here. It's like we marched up this freaking hill and we're just exhausted. And some people like even pop their helmets because it's like exhausting and hot. I at least had a closed face visor that I popped up, like, huh. And this runner comes up to the Prince of Nordmark and he says, oh, the East Kingdom people want you to, move over here and they're going to charge over there. And the Prince of, I wish his name was Morgan. And he said, no, we will not do that. We will hold the high ground. And I can't do the accent. He's like, we're going to hold the high ground. And our entire war unit basically went, oh, thank you. Oh, we worship you. Oh, somebody understands tactics. Hallelujah. And sure enough, these idiots rushed up the hill and we just piked down the hill and we killed them all. And it was the best thing ever.
Nice.
I've had a lot of weird things happen at Pennsic, but that was like close to my heart. Thank you, Prince Morgan, wherever you are. And I'm sorry I mangled your accent.
Tulia, have you ever been to Pennsic?
Never. I've never gone.
Oh my God.
I know. 27 years in the SCA. I've never been to Pennsic.
We are 100% like, I need to take you to Pennsic with me. So Pennsic, by the way, is bloody miserable. And
I know.
Hilariously fun. Like
I've been told.
Sleep during the day, party all night. That's
I'm basically gonna wear chitons the entire time and like just be like, moisturize me. And
Oh, no, you don't need moisturizer. Like literally you just walk out and the air doesn't fool you.
I meant just like literally spray me. And you spray me with a hose, I don't care. Like
something. But like there's many bog adventures and just hilarity. Like
I want to go for the shopping. And Morgan, one of the merchants on the vast merchant row at Pennsic, and all I've ever seen is people talk about like their amazing finds at Pennsic and how cool it is to go shopping there. Yes, Morgan.
Well, it turns out that because we can't have Pennsic this year, the remarkable merchants of Billy and Charlie's Fine Pewter have set up PenSicMerchants.com. I'm pretty sure it's .com. Seriously, lots of your favorite Pennsic merchants are at PenSicMerchants.com. Go and look at their stuff, and it's pretty cool. Billy and Charlie are astounding freaking people. Holy cow! It's all little pewter pilgrim badges, pins,
oh my gosh,
accessories, and they carve all of it out of Wonderstone and pour pewter into the freaking stone. They're carving everything backwards, and they have multiple pieces. It's, oh my God, insane. But they are absolutely worshipful. And if I can plug one other merchant.
Yes.
HistoricGlassworks.com. The guy, oh, look at this. HistoricGlassworks.com.
They are the official.
Amazing. Seriously, every time I go to Pennsic, if I have $2 to my name, well, more than $2, but if I have, $30 to my name, I'm coming into their booth and spending money. Absolutely gorgeous stuff. Master Ali has been blowing glass forever. His apprentice, Celera, is also brilliant. So good. They're such sweet, nice people. They'll demo the glass blowing. Amazing.
So Morgan, about a month ago or so, a month and a half ago, I get this text from Helga and is like, I want this mug. And she sends me just a photo of it. She's like, it's this mug, and she's like, I'm like, oh, that's a nice mug. Who did it? And she's like, Historical Glassworks. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know them. They're really cool and they're nice people. And how much is it? And she's like, well, I'm in talks with the proprietor. And I said, and then she goes, and it glows in the dark. And I said, holy shit, I need that. And this is how this little mug became the official mug of Between Two Peers.
So we ordered 5 of them, so everybody on Between Two Peers has the exact same mug.
So Lady of the Lake, Carius, Baby Ninja, Helga, and I, we all have the same mug. Yes.
There was a time when I never would have bought glass or even pottery to bring to events, and I've got so many. This is my absolute favorite one, which is why I'm drinking out of it now, but I've got tons of this stuff. I custom ordered a cream and sugar thing from him one year. Absolutely brilliant work.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm hoping that people will either find him at under PenSicMerchants.com or just plain historicalglassworks.com, because that's easy to pronounce and spell.
Glassworks.
Love their stuff.
Yeah.
I feel awkward pushing like my stuff, but I love their stuff.
It's okay. We're gonna the weaponized extrovert is gonna push your stuff for you on the page.
Thank you, weaponized extrovert.
So with that,
I called her Mrs. Muppet behind the scenes, and she put up with it. I may have to pay for that someday.
Oh no, I understand that I'm a Muppet. I realize that I am funny looking and I'm a Muppet. I talk and I have a very expressive face, and I talk with my hands, and I do this and I run around. I'm 100% a Muppet. I am not offended by this. I even have a Muppet stole, which is my favorite thing ever. So with that, we're actually at the end of our show. We've gone through our questions and the bonus questions and the ones sent in. And so is there anything else either of you would like to say to our audience before we wrap this up?
Well, gosh, I even got to soapbox all of the things I wanted to soapbox about. And there was only like one person in the chat that disagreed with me, and a whole bunch of people agreed. So I'm like, let's just change all the titles. Fine, we're good. I've only managed to go through three drinky poos. My wonderful husband, Sir Gregory, has been bringing me drinky poos. Sadly, the cat did not jump up on the cat tree for your entertainment. Some other time.
I want to see the kitty.
Thank you so much. It's always good to chat with both of you. Anyway, I cheat because these are my friends that I talk to at events anyhow, but this has actually been fun. And most Zoom meetings are just annoying and stressful, but this one had alcohol and I got to soapbox, so yay.
And so I want to thank Morgan for coming on the show. When Helga and I first started this, she was on my short list. Like immediately we were like, who would be a willing victim? I mean, person who would humor us. And we put Morgan on, and but because of life and stuff like that, it didn't work out until now. But I am thrilled that Morgan is on here. She's been my sanity check since before I was a Laurel. She was my Laurel sanity check for many, many years. So many wonderful things where events and memories and things like that of us just sitting around. I love you too, baby. Sitting around the camp or the merchant booth, just shooting the shit, drinking wine, talking about all the shit that we will fix when we are the queen of the SCA or the empress of the SCA or the ruler of the universe. And I am thrilled that she is on the show, and I am thrilled that I get to pimp her fabulous wares. So go to laurelkavanaugh.com or find her on Etsy at Mad Jeweler, MADJEWELER, and buy something beautiful because she makes beautiful things, and I would completely just wear all of her stuff forever. And I do. So and
hey, twitching in discomfort now.
I know, right? I'm just gonna throw it in there and just throw it in really good. And with that, I'm gonna toss it over to the lovely Helga.
So I'm going to wrap up the show. I just want to say, Lori, thank you, sir. Drink.
I was just drinking.
My name.
Morgan, thank you so much for joining us. You have been one of my favorite people in the SCA since I started. And I've been playing over half my life. And you have always been an absolute joy and an inspiration and one of the peers that I hope to live up to be. And so anytime that you are doubting who you are, I'll come kick you right in the ass because you're one of my heroes. And so thank you so much for being here. And so
I'll pick you up on that.
All right, because I will kick you right in the ass about that.
Sometimes I need that.
So with that, I'm going to do the show wrap up. And so we're actually instituting a couple new things with the show. As everybody has seen, we've done merchant advertising. One of the things that we want to do on the show is there's enough of us, enough people that follow, that we want to support the local merchants. So if you are a merchant that watches the show, or you're a friend of a merchant and you think that they should have a 30-second plug on the show with all their information and on the webpage, please message us. Get us in touch with the merchants that you think should have that time. We're happy to give it. There are some parameters. We're making a Google Doc for that. That way we're not just flying by the seat of our pants for this. So please remember, support your local merchants, especially the SCA merchants at this time, because everything is online. So the second thing is other shows. What are other shows that you are watching? Send this into Two Peers. Like, we would love to plug other shows. We're a huge fan of Ask the Knights, live from Kaid. What else is there? Like, there's just so much. Oh, the virtual fighter practice page.
Yeah, virtual fighter practice.
The
Saturday.
Murder of Dukes, the Two Sisters interviews, Saga Saturday. Please send us that information. We are happy to pimp your shows. We are happy to like put that information out there and follow you as our page so you can have better bandwidth. Also,
Rosie Speaks.
Rosie Speaks.
Yeah, we want Rosie Speaks.
Check out our favorites on YouTube. It has many of these shows. Please go like and follow those other shows. They're doing the same stuff we are. We're just the weird Jerry Springer of the versions. So with that, I'm going to say thank you all so much for continuing to support the show, for tuning in and continuing to put up with us and our weird opinions, laughing, and also just dealing with some of the hard topics. We're here every week because you guys continue to tune in. So remember, like, share, and follow. Spread the word that the show is going on. Please feel free to share links, to invite people to the Facebook page, and invite people to the YouTube page, because it means that we can continue to go.
Let's throw in also Calbird's Corner.
Oh yeah, Calbird's Corner. You want to learn how to play games?
August Saturday, which is on hiatus for a little bit, but it'll come back raring to go. And oh my God. So yeah, just send us these things. We'll read them off. We will make it happen. And we want to share the love as much as we possibly can.
And so tonight, just so the two guests, or for my host and the guests, know that they're asking for a silly after show. So we might have to fire up Tipsy with Tulia and just take questions from the audience and dork off for a little while and answer questions. I think I'll drag the tech crew in for that if we decide to do that.
All right. But I'm into it.
If that happens, what'll happen? It'll happen live on this channel. We'll take a quick break so we can go refresh our drinks and everything else like that. I will post to the Two Peers page, and you'll get anybody that follows this will get the live updates link that we are live again. So with that, next week we have Jane the Reborn as our guest. So remember to send in your questions. That show is just looking to be an absolute riot. Both of us are huge fans of Jane and Blue. And so we're looking forward to that. So until next week, we will see you all then.
Peace out and word to your mother.